guys, in today's video I'll be sharing with you 10 things you need to know before moving to Jakarta, Indonesia. So maybe you just got an internship or you hope to be a part of the startup scene that's like pretty major currently in Southeast Asia, and you've decided to move to Jakarta but you don't really know anyone there and you don't really know what to do when you first land. I'm gonna share you some of the things that I found super important for you to know before moving out here. So first things first, I think you need to understand the geography. Just like traveling to anywhere that's new, you want to make sure that you understand the place geographically. Like for example, when I'm traveling to Japan, I want to know where I am at so that I can kind of vision myself where I need to be or where things are, and distance and time, it all makes sense. So when you're in Jakarta, Jakarta is divided by 5 sections, which is North, West, East, Central, and South Jakarta. So all these places are pretty much different. I would say they have their own different culture, they have their own different things going on, like their specialties and the kind of food. They all differs from place to place. I'm not gonna deep dive into the different sections of Jakarta in this video because it's gonna be way too long. But note that Jakarta is not only like Jakarta. So Jakarta, there's like the DKI, Daerah Khusus Ibu Kota. So the special capital region of Jakarta is that area that I mentioned earlier: Central, South, West, North, and East. Understanding that Jakarta is like the biggest city in Indonesia, a lot of people want to work in Jakarta because there's just more job opportunities. Most people that work minimum wage, they live outside of Jakarta, and that brings you to Jabodetabek. Jabodetabek means Jakarta, Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, and Bekasi. So these are the special areas just right around Jakarta where majority of people who work in Jakarta actually live. Know your geography, so that's number 1. Number 2, so now you're in Jakarta and you don't have anywhere to live. If you actually live here for more than months, I would suggest that you find a kos-kosan. So what is kos-kosan? It is essentially like a place for you to stay, and most of the time it's in the form of a room. So when you're ngekos, which is like the verb for it, you don't actually rent out a whole house. Typically it could be like an apartment with like different rooms that's rented out and you have a landlord. And where do you find kos-kosan? You can go online, stop right here, and then list all the places that you can find a kos-kosan. But there's also like amazing Facebook groups if you're an expat that's titled Expats in Jakarta. That group can be super helpful. A lot of foreigners who live in Jakarta and they want to like look for houses to stay, or they want to sell a house even, or they want to know like where do people do things. A lot of people actually support and they can share their knowledge to make your life in Jakarta way easier. Anyways, you still don't have a kos-kosan and like you're not really sure if you want to stay in Jakarta long term, you just want to stay in a hotel. There are several good chain hotels that I can recommend. Like Yellow Hotel is pretty good. It's at a lower price point, but they're very like youth hotel type of vibe. And there's also Faith Hotel, which is like a little nastier. I think some of the rooms are not way maintained. You can also stay there, and they have a lot of different chains, and prices differ according to location. Central Jakarta is like where most of the offices are, so it can get quite expensive in Central Jakarta. If that's where you work and you're new, I would suggest that you stay around where you work. It just makes it easier. Number 3, transportation. How do I get around? Like, what is it like in Jakarta? I heard traffic is pretty shit. All of that is pretty true. When you arrive to Jakarta, or even before you land in Jakarta, you want to make sure that you have downloaded Gojek and Grab. Those are the most important apps in my life. Hashtag not spawn, but I really use that for everything. Gojek has like GoFood, basically your Uber Eats, and it looks like this. It has like a car. They just asked me to rate someone. You can order cars, and you can order a food, and you can also order ride and also massage. So win-win. And this is what the Grab app looks like. It's basically like the same thing, but how I personally get around is by a bike most of the time, just because it helps me cut traffic time by like half. So that's really important for me because I don't really like sitting in traffic. Knowing that I can get somewhere faster, knowing that I can get home faster and I can rest faster, so that's really precious for me. So I like just getting on the bikes, and I've like taken maybe 1,000 rides at this point, and it's pretty safe. You just have to probably learn a little like key sentences for you to like communicate with your driver, and just let them know that you are at the dot where you ask them to pick you up. So in Indonesia, this is something that I still hate still, but when you order your cars or rides, you actually have to text the driver all the time just to confirm that you are not pranking them. It's annoying, but we're still in a developing country, so please understand. Just tell them like, hi, according to the app, please. If they're not responding, then you can cancel on them. They're never gonna cancel on you because they don't want to get penalized, and it's their full-time job. Unlike Uber in the States or Lyft, I think most people are just doing it for part-time. It's different here. Most of the online app drivers are actually working full-time doing this, so just gotta be more mindful. But if you don't really want to download the app because you just want to get a feel for everything, always use Bluebird Taxi, because that's the taxi company that actually like have a pretty good customer service. We have the subway system now called the MRT, but they only run from Grand Indonesia area, which is the Bundaran HI. That's the last stop, and the first stop is the Lebak Bulus. So it only goes like on one strip right now. So if you live and you work around that strip, really good for you. You can just like go on the MRT and then hop off a bike, go to work or go home. Pretty convenient, I would say. The MRT only runs every 10 minutes, so if you're not really good with time management, might be a little bit tricky. Oh, but there's also the bus system, which is called the Transjakarta, and they run a lot more often, but it's just, I don't think it's accessible. So number 4 is food. So food in Jakarta, like what is it like if you're a vegetarian, or if you eat anything, what is it like? So where do I start? Just imagine a spectrum. There's a spectrum of like really dirty and hygienic food, but like heavenly delicious. But there's also like delicious food, but so that side of the spectrum is mostly like, I would say, stalls or your mom and pop's shop or the warungs. I think food is around, like, if you can find the cheaper ones, they're about 20,000 a meal. For just rice and chicken, 20 to 30,000 a meal. But then there's also like the restaurants that's gonna charge you like 50 or 60. And then there's the other not expensive but not cheap restaurants that's gonna like cost you like maybe 70 to 100,000. So it really depends on your budget. But if you're new to Indonesia, so I would just suggest that you go eat somewhere at the restaurants, because then it would help you not get like food poisoning. I'm not saying that you're gonna get, but some people can't handle like with their stomachs, but most of the time you're gonna be fine. So you can try eating at the restaurants first, and then when you're comfortable you can kind of like try the other things more. With the help of GoFood on GrabFood, hashtag still not spawn, you can get food delivered. Like any stalls, any restaurants most of the time have food delivery on this app, so you don't even need to leave the house. And most of the time they have like food coupons like right now, because they're trying to like burn money to get more customers. I'm not complaining. Sometimes you get even like $2, $3 off on your purchase, so that's already like $1 meal or like something like that if you get KFC or something. I'm trying to be healthy right now, so there are actually more restaurants right now that are popping. I'm really happy for, because in Indonesia or in Jakarta I don't really like find anything that have like healthier options, like grain bowls, you know, like just quinoa and like protein and veggies. It's not really common here. A lot of people just kind of gear towards white rice and like really fried, not really fried, sometimes they do have like veggies and like meats and stuff, but also they are, I don't know, like maybe not 100% healthy. Number 5, language. Do I need to know Bahasa in order to live in Indonesia? The answer is no. You actually don't need to learn Bahasa at all. But I've seen my friends who actually live in Jakarta and work here, they try to like, so that they can order food easier. If you're at like restaurants, most of the time the waiters will know a little bit of English. So if you're just saying like, oh, I want one of this and one of that, like da da da, like they're gonna be fine. So if you're white, actually the term for white people here is bule, which means like white people or foreigners. If you look white, you're gonna be called bule. Even if you're a Latina, you still look bule to them just because you're a foreigner, even though you're not necessarily white. So I have a friend who's white, and when he orders the Gojek or the Grab bikes, you're gonna have to chat them and tell them where you are. So basically you can tell them like how I'm exactly where the location, like the pin is, so you can pick me up there. And my friend would say I'm a bule, so it makes it way easier for the Gojek or the Grab drivers to find you on the side of the street. Or in Indonesia, everyone abbreviates a lot. So Jakarta, they're gonna write JKT, and the mall, they're gonna also, like for example, it's like Senayan City, they're gonna say Sensi, and Grand Indonesia is gonna be GI. So there's just a lot of different things that people say and in between friends, so you're gonna have to learn that over time, but it's something that's really easy to understand and learn. Moving on. Number 6, shopping, lifestyle, like where do I go shopping? So in Jakarta, when you go shop, there are a lot of malls, like a lot of malls. But by the end of the first week that you're in Jakarta, you're gonna be so tired of them. There's the Grand Indonesia, there's Plaza Indonesia, they're next to each other. There's Senayan City, there's Plaza Senayan, they're also next to each other. There's Gandaria City and Kokas, very close to each other. And there's Emporium Pluit, and there's Pluit Village, but it's kind of like irrelevant, but they're next to each other. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. There's Lipo Mall, Kemang, and these are actually just the nice malls that I'm mentioning. There's like tiny little malls that kind of just sell food and maybe some clothing, but here and there, but they're not really like major, and a lot of people just kind of like do their errands there. So for example, there's Grand Indonesia and there's Plaza Indonesia, right? Grand Indonesia has 2 supermarkets in the East Mall and the West Mall, and Plaza Indonesia has like 1 supermarket. So you have 3 supermarkets in one tiny area, I would say. Like it's a 2 to 3 minute walk maybe from mall to mall. Lifestyle, let me just say that Instagram's gonna be your Bible. It's gonna be your answer to everything. So if you want to get your lashes done, or you want to get your eyebrows done, and you want to buy anything online, you can search with the hashtag Jual, and then whatever you're looking for, if you go on Instagram with that hashtag, most of the time they're gonna be in Jakarta, and they're gonna be like offering you like whatever you need in your time right now. Like even if you need a makeup artist, you can find from Instagram. But that's just like the beginning of it. Like it all started from Instagram, and then now there's also the e-commerce sites, SHOPEE, TOKOPEDIA, and LAZADA. So these are the 3 big ones that people use to shop online. Sometimes even though you can find something, it might be like a lot cheaper when you get it online, just because you kind of cut the rental cost, you know. If you want to go to a place that sells like all electronics, you're gonna go to ITC. So ITC, which is ITC, is basically your Target but ginger version, but they sell everything. So if you're not really sure what you want to get, this is just some tips and tricks for me. You go to those ITC malls where they sell electronics, like ITC Kuningan or ITC Mangga Dua. These are the 2 major ones that sells electronics, and ITC Kuningan is right next to Ambassador Mall, so it's gonna be like you get 2 malls in one go, you know. So if you're not really sure how to like get things, you want to ask around first, you want to buy a new camera, you want to ask an expert that sells the cameras, you can go there first, and then once you get that understanding and you get that knowledge, you go online, you go on the Tokopedia, or you go on Shopee or Lazada, and you find that same camera with the same exact model and see how much it's gonna cost online. But what I really love about these online sites is that you can get them delivered to your house with only $2 shipping fee, because most of the stores that are on these apps that are, they call them the star sellers, I believe, they can provide shipping to your house like right now. So most of the time they like cost maybe $4 more or something like that. If they're closer to where you live, then you only pay like $1 and you get them right now. So basically it's like going to the store if you need it right now, and you already know which ones you want. But yeah, I would say the apps really help me save a lot of money, and sometimes they have vouchers and coupons, so that really helps. But if you want to experience the chaos of Indonesian shopping malls, you can go to the ITCs. They're really fun. I think everyone needs to experience that once in a lifetime. They sell clothes too, not only electronics, so maybe you get a good deal on something, who knows. Number 7, daytime activities. So actually for daytime activities, there's a lot of things you can do in Jakarta, but they might not be visible, or they might not be, I don't know, it might be hard to discover at first just because not a lot of people know about them, and you can have to go on your Instagram again. So there are also the local walking tours. We have like an area which we call the Old City. That's where all the preserved colonized buildings are, because we were colonized by the Dutch, I don't know, decades ago. There are communities or organizers that have like walking tours, and they start somewhere, and but they have these, and they are basically like pay as you wish kind of fee, and they like show you around of where like the good historical spots are. I've yet to go on one, but I think it's really interesting. It's really cool. Other things you can do in the daytime, working out, also not spawn, but class pass is in Indonesia, and there's also Together, and there's like, I think those are the 2 main apps that are like pretty big here. So these apps actually have a lot of options in which you can try different types of workouts. I go to this gym or place, they have like amazing full body strength and conditioning workouts that really help me like get a really good sweat, you know, meet like cool people there, and you might as well too. So if you don't really like know how to socialize yet, I think going to these places where people work out would be like a really great start, because a lot of people that work out in these types of gyms, Fit Club or like Hustle House, there's also CrossFit 6221 I think, and there's also Binkel Strength, Binkel Fitness or something, and a lot of people have like their own little communities, and I think it's really great. So find something that like really suits you the most, and might be a great way to start. If you really don't know what to do, you can go to GBK, so GBK Stadium. GBK means Gelora Bung Karno, again abbreviated. It's basically the stadium, and it's always open to public on the outer side where you can run. And actually went for a good run today for like 5 kilometers, which is like 3 miles, which is like not bad at all, because I'm trying to learn how to run. I don't know, I'm not really good at it either, so that's my solution. Also on Sundays they have this thing called Car Free Day in Jakarta, where they close down, they as in like the government, they close down this part of strip, like not even part, it's like a pretty huge strip of the main road in Jakarta from the Sudirman all the way to Senayan. They just close that major part up, and no cars can go through. I actually made a vlog about it. It's right here. Car Free Days are a really great way to get help if you don't really want to pay and like run a lot. And there's also little cute food stalls that usually attend to like volunteer and fundraise for a cause that they are working on at school. And sometimes there are like major companies doing advertisements with like big balloons. It's just parade, I think, every week, just a free parade. Also on Car Free Days they have like dog parks, like impromptu dog parks. It's so cute, and a lot of people bring their dogs out for a run or a walk. Additional tip from me, if you're going out of Jakarta, if you want to like explore Jakarta a little bit, you can get a private driver. And also again from Instagram, you can get private drivers that can drive you to Bandung, or you can go to Bogor. And there's also now like Explorer type of like TripAdvisor tour organizers, and you can like explore more of Jakarta outside area in like a day or two to understand Indonesia more if you don't really have time. But you can also take the train to Bandung, and you can also take the train to Yogyakarta. I've never been to Yogyakarta, so I still yet to go. But yeah, you can do a weekend trip there. You can go to, even you can find a weekend trip to Bali. Like you can leave on Friday, get there an hour later, and spend a really great weekend in Bali. So yeah, key is, as long as you have money, you can do all the traveling outside Jakarta, because it can get a little bit pricey if you're living in Jakarta, like not making enough. Number 8, nightlife. So what's the nightlife like here in Jakarta? So on Friday night, sometimes they have like karaoke nights in some places. There's just a lot of different places, and they kind of morph, like a lot of different restaurants that kind of morph into like live music places on Fridays and Saturdays. So it's a really great way to like hang out. And If you want to meet new people, I'm sorry, I don't think people like do that anymore. Like, you can come up to someone and say hi, but a lot of people tend to be quite shy in Indonesia or Jakarta. So most of the time these places are in South Jakarta or like closer to Central Jakarta. So Senopati, yes. So if you want to hang out, go to Senopati. There's a lot of like different cool bars there, and people don't really go to clubs unless you're 15. Yeah, if you want to like meet new people, say hi to people, some of the bars in South Jakarta is really chill. Like, you can just wear like basically this and it's gonna be fine. But if you go to the clubs, obviously they're not gonna allow you. But North Jakarta, there are some spots that are like pretty lit, I guess, but it's very much like bubbly, like people just go with their friends. But if you go to South Jakarta, there's a lot more expats that live there. There's a lot of more like people that are more global minded, so maybe if you say hi, they might say hi back. But I wouldn't promise you that everyone has that kind of background, you know. Sometimes people want to make friends. Sometimes you make friends at coffee shops, sometimes you make. So let's recap. Now that we got like 8 things that I've already shared with you, with like the food and the language and the transportation and like what to expect, so I'm gonna share with you point number 8, which is like the do's. I guess, do download all these apps that I told you and be understanding that you are in a developing country. Not everyone's perfect, not everyone can speak English, not everyone can read your mind. So if you're not really happy with the service, I would say be understanding. That's all I can say. I had a huge culture shock when I moved back to Indonesia. It was pretty hard at first because I was just like having a lot of expectation with how people are, and I just, you know, I will tell you this, everyone will make mistakes. Like they're not even gonna, like if you go to the restaurants, someone's gonna mess up your order. Like that's for sure. If you live in Jakarta, one person at least in like 2 months or 3 months that you are living in Jakarta, somebody will make a mistake. It's just very normal here. Everyone just makes mistakes. Maybe that's why it is the #1 happiest country in the world. For that reason, people kind of just don't give a and people are always forgiven, and maybe that's a good thing that I can learn also for myself. But do's, try to learn Indonesian a little bit. It doesn't hurt. Point number 10, try to have like someone that you know to kind of help you first there. So the don'ts, just don't be rude. Don't think that just because you're from another country you know better. You probably do know better sometimes, but just don't show it up. Don't be rude. Don't take a taxi that's not Bluebird. Hashtag not spot. Don't get ripped off. It's gonna be hard, especially if you don't look Asian. I think if you're Asian, if you're Korean or Japanese, you might get ripped off from like negotiating or whatever. But just because you look Asian, it might be easier. But then if you look white, it might be a harder type of case. So what about the community? Yeah, so there are a lot of communities other than the Facebook Expat in Jakarta group. There's also Girl Gone International that can help you transition into kind of having your own set of friends in Indonesia. Even for me at first it was kind of hard, but then joining a community of workout or gym also helps a little bit. You meet a lot of people that are actually not from Indonesia, or a lot of them lived abroad and then they moved back to Indonesia. That's kind of interesting, but it's because in Indonesia no one works out. So when you go to a working out place, you meet people that are maybe not in Indonesia, or maybe lived in somewhere outside Indonesia for years and they have developed that kind of habit. So most of the time Indonesians don't work out. They don't see a need of it. The schools here don't really enforce that kind of habit to people. Like I went to school here and our PE class was like once every week for 1 hour. During the session we kind of just sit around and like do nothing. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you somehow. If you're moving to Jakarta, you're gonna love it here, and if you don't, you can always move back. But I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.